You can finance a burrito now, a burrito from Taco Bell with DoorDash. Buy now, pay later on a $4 meal, and nobody's alarmed by that. Nobody's stopping and going, wait, we're putting food on credit now. We've just accepted it, added it to the cart, tapped the screen, and just moved on. And that's where we are today. And, I'm not even talking about some conspiracy theory. I'm not referencing some World Economic Forum quote off of X or something. I'm talking about what's right in front of you right now, today. The world you and I are living in is being redesigned so that you never actually own anything. And that's the crazy part is that it's happening so gradually that most people don't even notice. They just adapt and they just call it convenience. And, let's start with the obvious one. You buy a game, $60, $70. You download it through Steam, through PlayStation Store, through whatever platform, and you think you own that game. And you don't. You own a license, a permission slip, and that permission can be revoked. The platform goes down, the company pulls the title, the server shut off, your game is gone. You paid full price for something that was never yours. And same with music, same with movies. You're buying a film on Disney Plus, or you're not buying a film on Disney Plus. You're renting access to a library that somebody else controls. And when they decide that that movie doesn't belong on the platform anymore, it vanishes. You didn't cancel it. You didn't choose to stop watching it. They decided for you, and your subscription fee doesn't change. You're paying the same amount for less, and next month you'll fork over the same rate for even less than that. And this isn't a glitch, it's just the model. I was working two jobs, not hustling on the side, not doing something, part-time for extra cash, two legitimate jobs, clocking in, clocking out, doing it again and again, and every hour accounted for, every dollar mapped out, saving, investing, doing what you're supposed to do. And I'm still living at home, still, not because, I'm blowing money on new shoes or eating out every night, because the math does not work. I'm doing everything right on my end, and the goalpost just keeps on moving. Rent goes up, housing prices goes up, the cost of being alive just goes up, and my two checks can't outrun it. And that's when it stopped feeling like it was a me problem. Look at housing. Home ownership used to be the baseline, not a luxury, literally the baseline. Your parents' generation, your grandparents' generation, they bought homes in their 20s, and that was normal. That was expected. But now, the median home prices are so disconnected from the median income that it's almost a joke. Gen Z isn't choosing not to buy houses. We're just being priced out of the conversation entirely. And the response that everyone above us tells us, well, just rent, just cover someone else's mortgage every month, just build nothing, just accumulate zero equity, just exist in someone else's property under someone else's rules and be grateful you have a roof. And that's not a solution. That's literally just being on a leash. And then they hand you the buy now and pay later for everything else, clothes, groceries, apps, subscriptions on top of subscriptions. Everything is fractured into little payments. So you never feel the full weight of what you're actually spending. But it's still debt. It's always debt. They made owing money feel normal. They made it feel small, 4 easy payments, zero interest for 6 months. Tap here to split it up. They made the cage so comfortable so you'd stop trying to get out. And I think about my situation a lot, not in a self pity way, in an engineering way. Like, how did this happen? I'm not lazy. I know lazy, and I've seen lazy, and that's not what this is. I used every hour I had. I didn't go out. I didn't waste. I followed the formula, and the formula is broken, not because I messed it up, but because it was never designed for me to win. It was designed for me to participate, to keep showing up, keep paying, keep grinding, and never actually arrive anywhere. You used to work hard to and build something. A house, a car you owned outright. A record collection. A library, physical things that were yours that nobody else could take away with a terms of service quality update. Now you work hard to maintain access to things, and that's it. You're not building, you're just subscribing. You're not owning, you're literally just renting your life on a monthly plan. And that's what nobody wants to say out loud. And it hits young men in a specific way, because what does a man do? Traditionally, historically, he builds something, he creates a foundation, he provides, he starts a family on something solid. And that's not some toxic masculinity thing. It's literally just a basic human drive, to look around and say, like, this is mine. I made this. I can build on top of this. And when you strip that away, you make it literally impossible for a generation of young guys to own a home, to get ahead of their debt, to construct anything real. You don't just make them broke, you make them stuck. And you take away the thing that makes a man feel like he has a future worth fighting for. And then you tell him to be happy about it. And that's the part that made me angry. And I couldn't shake it. Not the being broke part. I can handle that. It was realizing I couldn't blame myself anymore. I tried. I wanted it to be my fault. Because if it's my fault, I can fix it. If I'm the problem, there's a solution. But when you're clocking in at two jobs, you're not spending on anything. You're doing everything the system told you to do, and you're still in the same place. And that's not a personal failure, that's the architecture. Someone designed this. And that's what the be happy line literally means. It doesn't mean, be content. It doesn't mean find peace. It means stop asking questions, stop looking at the math, stop noticing that you're doing more and getting less than every generation before you. Just keep subscribing, keep renting, keep splitting payments on things your grandparents would have bought with cash from one job. They don't need you to be happy. They need you to be quiet. And the scariest part isn't that they built this system. The scariest part is that a whole generation is growing up inside of it and thinks that's just how life works, because they've never known anything they couldn't lose access to.